Welcome to another episode of Message from a Watchman. This episode is called The Guards. That's right, The Guards by Symmanayah. And before we get into this presentation, I will read the disclaimer. As I read the disclaimer, this is important, and so you will find it in each video and each presentation. The views expressed in this presentation do not reflect the views of any technological portal I use. My views do not reflect the management and or staff of YouTube, Ustream, Facebook, Talk, or any other such communication portals. Like with any information presented, you are advised to research and seek confirmation. Each of us are held accountable for our own actions and decisions. Let the presentation begin. As we move right along, let me say welcome again. Shalom. The presentation you are about to watch represents the reflections of Symmanayah, an individual who seeks to worship and obey the Most High Yahuwah in spirit and in deeds, according to written and living scriptures. Each of us must give an account to our actions, and therefore the decisions we make either comes with consequence or benefit. It is Yahushua that is our judge, and it will be wise to make sure our actions line up with his written and living word. With that said, let us begin the presentation. The Guards. Yes, the Guards. Let's take the first word, THE, off, and let's take the S off, and we have the word guard. Did you know that you are a guard? You were given a responsibility as a guard, complete with specific duties, instructions on how to become an effective guard. If you doubt this, I invite you to read the list of scriptures that you see on this presentation. Psalms 16:1, Psalms 17:8, Psalms 18:23, and I will repeat these again when I go through the list. Psalms 25:10, Psalms 25:20, Psalms 37:34, Psalms 39:1, Psalms 106:3, Psalms 119:4, Psalms 119:9, Psalms 119:17, Psalms 119:34, 119:44, and 119:55. I'm going to repeat the Psalms, and then I'll continue with the rest of the verses that are listed. Psalm 16:1, 17:8, 18:23, 25:10, 25:20, 37:34, 39:1, 106:3, 119:4, 119:9, 119:17, 119:34, 119:44, 119:55. And in Proverbs, I would like for you to consider reading Proverbs 2:11, 2:20, 4:4, 5:2, 7:2, 8:32, and 28:4. Again, those verses for Proverbs are Proverbs 2:11, Proverbs 2:20, Proverbs 4:4, Proverbs 5:2, Proverbs 7:2, Proverbs 8:32, Proverbs 28:4. And the remaining scriptures would be Zechariah 3:7, Malachi 2:7, Matthew 28:20, Luke 4:10, John 14:15, and Ephesians 4:3. Again, the remaining scriptures would be Zechariah 3:7, Malachi 2:7, Matthew 28:20, Luke 4:10, John 14:15, and Ephesians 4:3. Please take a moment and read these verses. Yes, there are many scriptures throughout Yahuwah's written word. There are various and diverse passages of scriptures, but these, I believe, will at the very least, at the very minimum, heighten our awareness that we have already been given an assignment, and an assignment as a guard, complete with instructions and responsibilities. Now the key is if we can come to grips and realize that the Spirit of Yahuwah has given us a task, then the question comes to mind, how can we be responsible servants of the Most High, given that we have a task to guard this vessel, this tabernacle, that He's made whole by the restoration of the Spirit of Yahushua, by His death and resurrection. So our first assignment is to guard, and these scriptures will heighten our awareness. And if for some reason you struggle, pray earnestly with a heart to worship and obey the Most High Father, and then read these scriptures, meditate on them, and see, do you concur that an assignment has been given to all believers, and that first and foremost assignment is to guard what is His and guard it righteously. One way to guard this tabernacle righteously begins with core beliefs, and you've heard me speak of my core belief, and for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I will touch bases on that briefly in this presentation. Some other things to keep in mind when it comes to guarding this tabernacle, this vessel, righteously. Keep in mind that what we embrace and what we reject. How many of us have made compromises in our walk and embraced the wrong things or rejected the wrong things? How many of us have rejected things that were right for us and we shouldn't have? So we'll talk about embrace or reject the things that are necessary as we guard this tabernacle. What are the intricacies of our personal roles as a guard in guarding this vessel? How do we determine whether we're progressing or growing? So is there progress or growth? How do we know? We'll address that. What are the strengths or weaknesses? So, is there a strength or weakness in this walk? Absolutely, and we'll talk about that. Leadership. The role of leadership. Is the leadership a dictator or one that establishes right rulings? Is a leader one that demonstrates how we should engage the Father and therefore is actually a servant? We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about the importance of continued communications in this walk, identifying ourselves as a guard and those we fellowship. So combine the assembly of two or more, we are guards. Core beliefs. You will find I speak on this quite a bit because core beliefs can save us a lot of times. My core beliefs are that the Father is Yahuwah, creator of all, almighty, Father, Spirit everywhere at all times. My belief is that as the arm of redemption, He is Yahushua, the sacrificed Son. And then no one can come to the Father unless they acknowledge the Father as the manifested sacrificed Son, Yahushua. The Father manifested in the flesh. And as the flesh, yes, the flesh is not greater than the Spirit that's everywhere at all times. So therefore the Son is not greater than the Father. But it is my belief that Yahuwah and Yahushua are one. That upon Yahushua's resurrection, that He sent His Spirit, the Comforter. And the Comforter, we were told in John 14:26, that the Father will send the Comforter in the name of the Messiah. Therefore I say often, more times than not, that the Spirit of Yahushua is the Comforter's name. Not breath, not wind, not just some non-figment, non-functioning being like some people believe. Yahushua is the living Spirit that guides us, comforts us, brings us understanding, reveals to us, delivers truth to us. This is my core beliefs. My beliefs also consist that the inspired word, that the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation are the inspired written words of the Father. Are there some books that are missing? I am compelled to believe that yes, it is. There are some books missing. What are they? I have no idea of all of them. Some are mentioned in other prints, but I'm not sure on those. But we do know some books are missing, because in the 66 books that we see from Genesis to Revelation, we see in those writings quotes from other books, from other writings that are not compiled into the collection that we call the scriptures. So, with my core beliefs, by presenting that, I would say, if you are adamant that my core beliefs are different from yours, are contrary to yours, and you struggle with what I'm saying, pray about it. But these presentations by Symmanayah may not be for you. So, core beliefs, why do I have it here with Guards? Well, if we share our core beliefs with people up front, we can save a lot of time. If we are walking a walk that's not trying to convince someone, twist someone's arm, or get into an argument. Somebody might say, well, when you share your core beliefs, you start arguing right away. No, as a wise guard, if the core belief's different, let us not waste time with one another. If a person say, well, that's what I was taught, and I think that's right, if there's some doubt, if there's some uncertainty, then let us reason. Nothing wrong with reason. But as soon as reasoning crosses the line and becomes debate and arguing, or someone trying to forcibly convince you to believe differently, it's time to part. It's time to part before that even gets into the system. So why build a relationship or fellowship with someone if automatically your core beliefs are divided? Think about it. And here are some things, some key bullets, and I've mentioned them in other presentations, but I think this is important up front in order to establish a foundation and groundwork for this responsibility we have as guards. So for core beliefs, ask questions. What? Why? Who? How? Where? Where? How? Who? Why? What? Ask questions. Ask multiple questions. And in doing so, you'll see that this is a way to expose things. You will see evidence of exposure and discovery that will help you in discerning, or should I say listening to the voice of the Spirit of Yahushua, and determining whether you want to proceed further with that individual, or with that group, or with that camp. And like I said, reasoning versus debates and arguments. Know the difference. Know your core resources. Would the core resources be the scriptures? Is it a concordance? Is it a language dictionary? Are your core resources a group of sound counselors, teachers, elders? Know who your core resources are, for they can be a benefit in presenting yourself before the Father as a willing servant, worshiping and obeying Him, and recognized by others as a strong guard, a guard of righteousness. Yes, core beliefs. Core beliefs helps when it comes to establishing a sense of direction. It helps because we know our end expectation is to satisfy the will of the Most High Father. So, we're going to get into this guard. Yes, you are a guard. I'm a guard. We got some responsibilities we need to be taken care of. Are you up for the task? Are you ready? If so, we will dive more into this guards as we continue this presentation. This concludes the first portion of guards. Stay tuned as we go further into this subject matter of Guards by Symmanayah. You've been listening to Message from a Watchman. Stay tuned.